Blood, Guts, and Blu-ray is part of Court and Parts,
podcast network featuring pop culture, TV, movie, and geek podcasts. Check out some of our other shows: Geek Gravy, We Got 5, TV Ate My Brain, and Get Real Movies at courtandarts.com.
Well, yeah, I have a very sort of ambivalent view of myself as an artist or as a filmmaker. I mean, somebody once, when I was first starting in films in New York, says, if you want something on your gravestone in the film business, I think the best thing is filmmaker. If you can honestly say that, that's all you need to say. And that I think I would like that on my gravestone, along with whatever you do, don't fall asleep. Beyond that, I don't think it's possible to, or advisable, or even smart to call yourself an artist or talk about yourself as an artist. I mean, first of all, it's a business, and to forget that or ignore it or act like it's not there is just idiotic. And secondly, it's very difficult to know what will later be judged as art. I guess what I've tried to do is I've tried to make movies where I can honestly say I haven't seen that before.
Coming to you undead from Elm Street in fictional Haddonfield with a beautiful view of Crystal Lake, the podcast where every day is Friday the 13th and every night is Halloween. You are listening to Blood, Guts, and Blu-ray, part of the Core Temp Arts Podcast Network. Here are your hosts, Bloodbath, Bub, and Brett667, the neighbor of the beast.
Thank you for listening to Blood, Guts, and Blu-ray, now the official horror cast of the Core Temp Arts Podcast Network. You can catch all of our episodes on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, and TuneIn. And you can visit coretemparts.com to get all of our links, plus links to the other great shows like TV Ate My Brain, Geek Gravy, Failure to Launch, and That Pop This Life, who are celebrating their 100th episode, which is amazing. They were nice enough to let me participate. I guess every 10 episodes they do a special called a bitch session. Some folks were doing some really serious bitching, trying to solve the world's problems. In an attempt not to take myself too seriously, I decided to bitch about how much I hate found footage films.
Nice.
So, of course there are some exceptions, but anyway,
Sir,
this is hold up. Anyway, this is Blood, Guts, and Blu-ray number 9. My name is Bloodbath.
I'm Brett667, the neighbor of the beast.
And I'm Bub.
Are you there, Bub?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm Bub. I'm still Bub. I'm Bub all the time.
Fantastic start.
I'm not editing. Just so you know, I'm not editing that at all.
No.
It's going to be really smooth.
The voice you heard in the intro is none other than the bride of Bloodbath.
What's it going to be?
This lack of professionalism is really messing with my game right now. I don't have that much of a rant today, so let's just dive right into killer news, shall we?
I think we should. All right, so we got a new poster for that movie Death House that's coming out, right? It's supposed to be the Expendables of the horror franchise. I think it's gonna be awesome. You got Bill Moseley, you got Tony Todd, Candyman, got Michael Berryman, Sid Haig and Kane Hodder.
Kane Hodder too, right?
Yeah, you got everybody in this movie. I think it's gonna be really good.
I lost you for a second there.
Me too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did you say Kane Hodder and Gunnar Hansen and all those other fine cuts? Yeah.
It's got everybody in it. You know what? I think anything with Bill Moseley, I'll see. It's worth a watch. That guy scares me. He's just a really scary dude. But
absolutely.
When I was looking this up, right? I was looking for the news this week. There's so many remakes going on. Did you guys know that they're remaking Jacob's Ladder? Did you guys see that?
No, I didn't.
I didn't see that, no.
Yeah, they're remaking it. I don't know. I'm not going to see it because the original's perfect. They don't need to remake that movie. But while I was looking, they're remaking Sleepaway Camp too.
I knew about that one. And I have almost no desire to see it because I haven't seen the Cabin Fever remake yet, but I heard from everybody that it's just horrible.
Yeah. they're saying that the original chick's gonna be in it. You know, and the more I read into it, it's not gonna be a remake. It's gonna be more of like a present day like sequel. But I don't know. I don't know. There's all these terrible remakes that are coming about.
That's because Hollywood has no more good ideas. They pay people way too much money to make the same shitty movies over and over and over again.
And make a shit ton of money at the same time.
And make a butt ton of money. Because those movies don't matter. They're even if they're critical flops, or people still go and see them anyway. I mean, they sink all their money into X-Men movies and shit, Marvel movies, which is fine. I like a majority of those movies. I like them, but that's the only storyline that they can handle right now.
Well, they're going to make their money because no matter how shitty they are, there's always that senior in high school that's got to take the freshman out so she gets scared and he can cuddle up with her. I mean, it's a song as old as time.
Yeah. Did you hear about the Suicide Squad thing? Where I guess a movie, everybody hates it because it's not like a Marvel movie. Maybe because it's not a Marvel movie. Well, because it's DC Comics.
They also hate it because it. So there's somebody suing it for misinterpretation, or what do you call it? For their marketing department, because they made it seem like the Joker was a prevalent, important character in the movie, and he's only in it for like 10 minutes or something. I'm like, wow, they'll sue for editing these days.
Well, Jared Leto's talking about that too.
Yep.
You know, he's pissed. He said he kind of got tricked into doing the movie.
I mean, that's kind of part of the gamble. Did they sue John Carpenter for executive producing Halloween 3 when they didn't put Michael Myers in it? No. That's just silly. I don't know, man. I think everybody needs to back off and stop comparing one movie to another movie and just watch the movie and take it in for what it is. All my friends that have seen Suicide Squad so far, I think about 10 of them, I would say no, only one of them that I've talked to was like, yeah, I didn't like it. All the rest of them liked it. So I don't get it. And then, I mean, the Ghostbusters movie, that was a total flop.
I saw that.
Oh.
I mean, the special effects were great though, but the plot terrible.
Yeah, and the girl who does Hillary Clinton on Saturday Night Live? She was pretty funny. I was laughing.
Kate McKinnon, I love her.
I didn't think it was that great of a movie. Yeah.
All right. So while we're on remakes,
Sorry.
I sent you a picture of Entertainment Weekly this week of the new It full body shot. What'd you think of that?
Yeah, it doesn't look so hot. I'm not about it. I don't know.
I'm telling you, too much ruffles. Too many ruffles.
Yeah, I saw it too. Yeah, I wasn't really impressed.
I think part of the scare factor for Pennywise the Clown is that he looks like a fun clown. That's like it's almost as if to lure you in. And then once you get too close, it's like a black hole. Once you hit that event horizon, there's no going back. You know? So after you see the movie once, that when you see what's underneath the surface, it makes Pennywise the Clown that much scarier. So that's why this one, like that's a clown. That's like Gags the Clown. I would never go anywhere near that clown.
Oh yeah, it's totally scary, you know. But the only thing that like is keeping me like afloat with this movie, no pun intended, you know, is they released a picture of the leper. Did you see that? That looks awesome.
No,
that looks awesome. I'm telling you, it's like somebody with their face falling off, and that was in like the book. That was in the original book. So I think they're trying to stay true to the book and add new parts in, and that's why he looks like that. But I don't know. It's killing me.
In other news, Salem's Lot, and another Stephen King like miniseries, I forget which one it was, is getting a Blu-ray release next month. Because they still, none of those have been put on Blu-ray yet. So if you haven't seen Salem's Lot, it's every bit as good as it. So I just saw that today. I figured I'd chime that in. Because I knew you were gonna bring up the Pennywise the Clown thing, and rightfully so.
I wasn't gonna at first because I feel like we talk about it a lot, but I'm excited for it. But that coming out this week, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I'm still gonna go see it because.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
That's one of the. Like, the acting in the TV movie is so bad. It is horrifically bad, but still, every time it's on, I'll watch it. I'll go out of my way to watch it. Just because that movie is so scary. Tim Curry is such a genius in that film. So, anyway. What else you got?
Alright, so, one more thing. In real news, did you see somebody, they kind of like set up this thing? There's CERN, right? It's the European Organization of Nuclear Research. Mm-hmm. Somebody set up this hoax where they actually like made this video where it looked like somebody made a human sacrifice like on their front lawn. It happened awesome. Yesterday. It happened yesterday. There's like 8 guys. It's very cloak and dagger. They're all wearing like black cloaks, and they stab this woman to death. And
it's wild.
It's insane, dude. You got to see the video. But supposedly, like, some of them had employee badges on them, so CERN is, like, off the wall right now. They're getting all this bad publicity from it, But it's a creepy video. You got to watch it.
I'm going to need you to send me that link after we hang up today.
I completely agree with that. I want to see it, too.
Real life horror.
I need to see I need to see that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Good job. Killer news. Crushing it. Like I said earlier, I don't really have too much of a rant today. So we are still in the throes of Wes. Jeez, I gotta learn to talk. It's terrible.
Crest waving here, everybody.
We're in Crest waving Wibute Trump.
We're in Wes Craven like he's a direction.
We are in the throes of Wes Craven Tribute Month, but it's winding down. We've talked about New Nightmare, The Serpent and the Rainbow, and Shocker thus far. We've been avoiding the obvious popular ones like Scream and Nightmare on Elm Street until today.
They wanted to see something different, but something different saw them first. The hills have eyes.
Mister, don't take your family back in that area. The silver has been gone for 40 years now. Besides, there's nothing back in there but animals.
A lot. The old creep told you not to get off the road.
What began as a vacation ended as a nightmare.
Hell to pay now.
What was that?
She thought she knew what the world was all about, but nothing prepared her for this. The hills have eyes.
Oh, you going with my baby?
Yeah, that way, Dick.
A mother fighting for her child loses it in the worst possible way.
I hit him with a tire iron and I split his face wide open. That was a bad mistake, but I come back for you later, girlie. Why are you doing this?
The story of an American family who lost everything except the will to survive. Murdered, raped, burned, but not beaten. The hills have eyes. The story of one family's refusal to die.
I'm gonna get those animals.
The The hills have eyes. A night of terror. A day of vengeance where no one was spared. No one.
Kill the babe! Kill me!
They fought back. Anything was a weapon. The family dog to the family car.
It's working!
The Hills Have Eyes. The most shocking, terrifying film you will ever see, by Wes Craven, writer and director of The Last House on the Left. The Hills Have Eyes. The lucky ones died first.
The budget was $230K. Box office returns was $25 million. Body count is 8. Naughty count is 1, sorta. A married couple who has a kid bangs and there's no nudity, so I don't know if it counts. But it's not teenagers in an abandoned house or anything. But yeah, so let's go ahead and go move forward with the synopsis here. We haven't heard too much from Brett667, so we'll let him do that. We'll let him do his thing.
Perfect. Well, this is a story about a family coming together on a beautiful scenic road trip to California. They decide that the father of the Carter family unselfishly wants to stop by his family's old abandoned silver mine, and unfortunately it happens that their RV breaks down, but luckily they come across a lovely family that live within the mountains that do nothing but assist them in their cause of getting back to California, taking care of their dogs. It's really the feel-good movie of the year.
And the baby. They take care of the baby too.
Yeah, they babysat. Without even asking. These wonderful mountain people came. I mean, they're like hobbits. They are just the friendliest little folk, hill folk in the world, and it leads to a happy-go-lucky ending where nobody dies and everybody skips hand in hand over the mountain into a rainbow. And in reality, the family is hunted by a bunch of freaks born from a nuclear test site and are consistently tortured by the deformed son of a native that captures a prostitute and creates a bastardized version of a family that want to eat the flesh off of babies and dogs and people and genuinely disturb anybody that would be watching the movie or would be in the poor RV that they are stuck in. Great premise.
So before we start going into the film itself, the original idea for the film was a lot different than what ended up being shot. The script was actually titled Blood Relations. Mm-hmm. And there were supposed to be dozens of incestuous cannibals. And it was supposed to take place in the year 1994, in the forest, not in the desert. And the cannibals were supposed to be like adolescent age. And the baby was supposed to be kidnapped, but not for food, but for like a religious ritual. Wow. I'm not really sure how and why that got changed, because it's a totally different movie at that point. Somebody should make that movie.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds awesome, actually.
I like the name Blood Relations. It sounds like a PR group.
So they were going to keep the name Blood Relations, but it didn't test well, and The Hills Have Eyes tested well, but Wes Craven didn't like that name.
Yeah, Cress. I just said Cress. Oh my god.
See?
It's spreading.
It's not so easy, is it, Brett?
No, it's not Bloodbath.
But you know why they made this movie in the desert? They were saying that the producer Peter Locke, I guess he was like running around a lot, doing different things, and he was in Nevada a lot, like driving through the desert.
Yeah.
So he said,
broke up for a second. You still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
sorry.
Peter Locke, the producer, he was basically driving through Nevada, and he like contacted Wes Craven and said, "Hey, we got to do this movie in the desert."
Was it in... So, the new one was in New Mexico, right?
I believe so.
Was that... Yeah, so there. I mean, we're gonna touch lightly on the remake, because the remake is almost a completely different movie in a lot of respects. But the film was originally given an X rating. It had to be cut to get an R rating. And we'll go through some of the scenes later. But I think now, to be honest with you, I watched it again today. And it's my honest opinion that if this movie came out today, it'd be PG-13.
Yeah.
It's not that gory. There's a rape scene in it, which we'll get to later, but they don't show you anything. They imply that it's happening. You know what I mean? And also, I mean, I can understand why it got an R rating in 1977 because there was no PG-13. But an X rating, I'd have to see, because a lot of footage got cut. They made a lot of cuts to make this an R rating, and the stuff that got cut is lost forever. Nobody knows what it is. It's like a legend. So
that's anyway. A bummer. That's a bummer because I agree that even though there was a lot of tension in the movie, I felt the gore was lacking.
It's just like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, he did a lot of modeling for this movie off of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He considered this an homage to it. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre has almost no blood in it. The goriest part is a girl getting put on a meat hook, and you don't even see it go in. You just know it goes in. It's implied, you know? So, and I think that one, to start off, got an X rating, and they had to make cuts to get it down to an R rating. So this family shows up at this gas station with this yokel of a guy named Fred, runs the place, and the dad is just a dick. What's his dad's name? Bob?
Big Bob Carter.
Big Bob?
Big Bob
Carter. And he's just a dick. He's like flashing his badge around. He's like, yeah, I'm a retired cop. On my way out to California. Like, what, you know what I mean? And he's like, we're going to go check out the silver mine. And Fred is like, you should definitely avoid that. And just please stay on the main road, no matter what. Just stay on the main road.
I beg of you. He begs them.
I'm begging you, man. Just stay on the road.
He's not even that standard cryptic, like, well, you folks might find something mighty juicy out in those mountains. He's like, literally, it's the worst fucking decision you could do. Cut to them going down that road.
I don't even know why he doesn't just say there are a bunch of mutated human beings that will stop at nothing to kill and eat you and get a little rapey. So maybe you shouldn't do that, and you should just drive fucking straight.
I don't think Big Bob would listen anyway.
He's like, now
Big Bob would definitely not listen.
Now I gotta go.
Now I have to go.
I got a badge. They got nothing against me.
But is it just me? Like, okay, Bub, you had 2 German Shepherds.
I did.
Whenever every time I went to your house, there's 2 German Shepherds. I was afraid of both of them.
Were you?
You would, yeah, terrified.
Well, you got bit by a dog when you were younger.
Yeah, but Belle just did not like me at all.
Well, you know what? Like, my mom actually named him because, you know, what is it, Beauty and the Beast, right, in this movie?
Yeah.
She loves this movie.
Yeah.
She's like, we'll name her Belle.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't
That's
want
awesome,
to
actually.
She didn't want to steal the hill. She didn't want to steal the Hills Have Eyes thing, but she was like, I got to name it after Beauty and the Beast, Belle.
But these people, they just let their dogs just run away. Like, there's no positive control on the dog at any moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they'll come back.
They'll come back.
Yeah, no.
And then they just go into Fred's house. They're looking for a bathroom, and they're like, oh, maybe back here where he sleeps, which is clearly off limits. I have no business back here. And they're just, I guess in the 70s, because, I mean, again, think about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They just walk into Leatherface's house.
It was a freer time. It was a freer time in the 70s.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
it was just cool in the 70s. It was just we could just walk into anybody's house. It's fun.
Well, they didn't have guns back then, so.
Yeah. And then, I'm actually glad that they did make this movie in the desert, because the desert weirds me out. This movie, I was dehydrated watching this. Just taking in the scenery around it. I'm like, oh, God, it must be so fucking hot and miserable. It's terrible. So, I don't like a single person in that movie other than the gas station attendant, Fred, and the cannibals are funny. They're really funny, I thought. What'd you guys think?
You know who I liked? I liked Mars. Like that Jerry curl that he had going on. What was that about? Dude with a Jerry curl chasing with a knife.
I liked Jupiter. Jupiter was funny. When he's yelling at Bob. I'll get into that later. But when he's yelling at Bob's dead body, it's like the best part in the whole movie. Bub, if I cut you off a bunch of times, it's because you're breaking up like a son of a bitch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I agree. Oh, yeah.
So I thought you were done because I kind of got to keep an eye on the recording here a little bit just to make sure, it doesn't do something weird. But yeah, you broke up. Like, you've been breaking up a little bit. Just so you know.
Yeah.
So if I cut you off, it's not because I don't care what you have to say.
It's okay. I'm having a rough night. I was Pixels earlier.
Blurple Bub.
Yep.
You are listening to Blood, Guts, and Blu-ray. Let us know what you think by reaching out to us. We can be found on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, or Facebook by simply searching Blood, Guts, and Blu-ray. To suggest a film or trailer you think we should discuss, or to comment on this or any other episode, send an email to bloodgutsandbluray@gmail.com. We will always get back to you. Thank you for listening to Blood, Guts, and Blu-ray, and enjoy the rest of the show.
So, I've been talking for a while, so why don't you guys talk?
One thing I definitely want to say about the movie is that, in a way, I was very sympathetic towards the rapey, eaty human beings that were coming from the hills, because what Fred did is borderline fucking awful. And I'm like, well, the movie doesn't talk, obviously, because it's an older movie. Nowadays, if this movie was made, we would be made forced to feel for the irradiated freaks. But
let's, before you go any further, let's talk about what Fred did. So Fred and his wife lived by this Air Force base where they were testing nuclear weapons and stuff. And they had like a daughter before that, right?
Yes, a beautiful daughter.
I had a beautiful daughter, and then I think his wife's name was Martha. We don't ever meet Martha, but I think her name is Martha. And he says that next she had a 20-pound baby. Hairy baby that by 10 years old was as big as he was. And one day he went to work, and that baby set fire to the house. That baby ends up being Jupiter, Papa Jupiter, and killed his other daughter. And so he smashed Jupiter in the face with the tire iron and then dropped him out in the middle of the desert, thinking that he wasn't gonna live.
Yeah.
And he did live. And here's the weird part, though. Bob, he's telling the story to Bob after trying to just hang himself. Which is, like, hilarious. Like, every time I see that part, like, Bob shoots at him, and then he closes the door and then tries to jump into a noose.
just stand there.
So Bob, I can't say it without laughing. Bob shoots at him and then goes in there and then it pulls him out of the noose, and then without asking, like, what are you doing this for? You're like, he just grabs a bottle of whiskey and they start drinking, and he's telling him this tale of how he smashed his son in the face with a tire and dropped him out in the middle of the desert. And Bob is like oddly okay with this.
Yeah, he's never shocked. Never.
Like, if somebody was telling me that, I'd be like, oh my God, I can't even imagine. Like, I would at least be, I wouldn't even be judgy. I would just be like, oh, I can't even imagine having to do that. And Bob's like, then what happened? I just thought that was weird. It was a weird response to that. So anyway, go on with what you were saying, because now just so we needed to say what Fred did. Fred caused this whole problem.
That's fine. That's exactly right. Is that Fred is is technically like the villain in this, because so you got this 10-year-old furry fucking man baby that you've had for 10 years, and I have a hard time believing that this was the first time you noticed he likes to play with fire and maybe wants to kill his sister. And obviously there was a lot of weird neglect going on, so they took this obviously misguided angel and bashed him in the face with, was a fucking tire iron or whatever? What did he hit him with?
Yeah.
Tire iron.
He drags a child that's not dead yet and goes, his whole sentiment is, well, I figured if he ain't dead, the heat gon' get him in a couple hours. Oh, okay, so you weren't sure he was dead by you obliterating his face, so therefore, you're gonna let him bake in the heat with no water. So at the end of it all, it's funny because Papa Jupe is probably the best father in this entire movie.
I didn't even think of that, but you're totally right.
And I'm like, I wonder if this is an underlying psychological part of this film, but I'm actually really hardcore rooting for these guys because Papa Jupe's psycho, but he keeps his pack together. Like, they're a pack. Like, we are one, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna find a way to survive. And yeah, Bean's eating babies, but you know what? I'm gonna do it because I'm Papa Jupe. And I'm like, you know, I kind of like this guy.
I'm still trying to figure out like how they got into the car accident in the first place. See, in the remake, the mutants
trap him.
They
set it up.
Yeah, they set it up. In this one, his Bob can't drive, and he gets angry that somebody is swearing in the back seat, and then like a Marx Brothers movie, somebody lets the map go and it gets in his face, and then he takes it off his face and he almost hits a bunny, and so he decides to swerve and break the fucking axle.
Yeah.
Like, this is an easy thing to fix. Everybody shut the fuck up while I'm trying to figure out where we're going. Shut up. Nobody talking in the back. I don't want to hear it. You stop swearing. And turn to your wife and be like, and you, learn to read a map. You've got us on a wild goose chase now. And then just drive at an even pace. Instead, he's just flailing all over the road, breaks his own axle, and then he's pissed off at his son-in-law about it, which didn't make any sense at all. So him and his son-in-law, they split apart. He's like, okay, you go that way, and I'll go back to Fred's Oasis. I'll talk to him and see if he can't hook us up. And then so he goes back there, and they have the dialogue that we were just talking about. And just as they're about to get going more, Jupiter jumps through the window, which is an awesome part.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. When he tears him out.
He tears him. He brings him outside, and then he just beats the shit out of him with the tire iron. Just like irony a little bit, you know. And that was one of the parts that they cut down because apparently it was really, really brutal, and that's one of the reasons that it got an X rating to start. And so what we saw, you guys listen to this and then actually go watch this movie if you haven't seen it. What you end up seeing is still a very brutal part, but apparently it was like just a ton of prolonged brutality. Meanwhile, okay, so Homeboy's face is getting bashed in, and Bob is just standing there. He's got a gun.
Yeah, he would. Yeah.
Could have solved that problem right away. Amazing. Bob's terrible.
And Bob should have already been on the edge and have a trigger finger because he was just shooting his gun fucking 20 minutes beforehand, and then somebody breaks through a window. You're right. You would think he would just be like, well, time for me to be a cop again. But no, he's just looking around.
Right, he just retired. And then, but earlier in the movie, the reason I bring this part up is earlier in the movie, he says, he uses a bad word for black people. And he says the N-word, I hate saying the N-word. They shoot at me, and hillbillies throw dogs off of roofs at me, and even my own guys shot at me twice. But this is breaking down in the middle of the desert is definitely like the worst thing that's ever happened. Or his wife is the reason that he's almost gotten killed because she distracted him when he was driving. Well, no shit. No, I would be shooting at you too if something is going on right in front of me and you're not willing to pull your gun out of your holster and then fire at the guy that's bashing my fucking face in with a tire iron.
Yeah, I'd throw fucking dogs at him too. I mean, I would throw a dog at him.
So, what I think that signifies, because when the first time you hear him say that, you go, why did anybody do? Why would your own guy shoot at you? Why would people be throwing dogs at you off the roof? It's terrible. Well, that's why. Because
you understand. You understand by like the first like half hour of the movie, like this guy sucks.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to illustrate. In my terrible way of explaining it, that's what I'm trying to get. That's the point I'm trying to get across. So, Bob tries to run back to the car, and he has a fucking heart attack and falls down. And they kidnap him. They take his gun. And then they use him as a decoy to lure the family out so that way they can raid the camper. And they do, and it's Mars and Pluto that do it, which is Michael Berryman, and I forget the other guy's name. Michael Berryman's the one that went on to do other stuff. The other guy didn't really do too much. But it's a pretty brutal scene. That whole scene is pretty insane.
Oh yeah, they crucify him.
Yeah, and it's the other part too. They're nailing his arms to a tree, and he's like not even screaming.
I know, he's just taking it.
He's like, oh, dude, it's puncturing your extremities with a nail. I think it'd be a little bit more animated. But Michael Berryman was so good in this movie.
Oh, he's great.
He's great. It's no mystery why he's the one that's on the cover, because he's the one that you're gonna remember always from this movie. And he,
you know what's crazy about him? Like, he was born with a bunch of birth defects, and one of them was not having sweat glands. Yeah. So I was reading about this, and like the dude's out in desert heat, and they said after every take they would have to like wrap him in a cold blanket.
Yeah, he doesn't produce sweat at all, and he did this movie for 5 months in the desert, no complaints, no nothing. Can you believe that? That's a trooper.
That's insane.
Man. That's a trooper. But he smashes up that camper like it's nobody's business. And then there's just so much death and just horror happening in that. How long is that segment? 5 minutes? Where they actually get. Yeah, it's not that long, but in that you're like, what? And then when they take the baby, that's the part that gets you like crazy. You know what I mean? I can only imagine. I would be losing my fucking mind if somebody took my kid.
Oh,
that's where the movie really gripped me. As I was just like, oh shit is fucking real now.
But when they're referring to the baby and when they're talking about the baby with the voices that they use, and it's the same voice that they use to call out to people at night while they're hidden in the darkness. They're like, "Daddy, Daddy." It's the same voice that they're using when they're talking about this baby. They're like, "Baby fat and juicy, you're fat and juicy. I'm coming back for you, girly."
Oh yeah, they talk about the thing like it's a turkey.
And then Jupiter says the best line in the whole movie, which is, "Boss, keep an eye on that tenderloin baby." And see, I watched this movie I would say 2-3 months ago, and ever since then we've been referring to Sheena as the Tenderloin baby.
No. Oh my god.
In the store, because she's running now. She's full speed. Just if you turn your head, she's gone. You know what I mean? She could be a stranger could pick her up. We're terrible. But I'll be like, "Where's the Tenderloin, baby?"
Kristen, get the Tenderloin, baby.
Give me all that Tenderloin, baby.
It's getting away.
I'll come back for you later.
So wait, what? So we've been talking about this the whole time. We haven't talked about Ruby once. And she is maybe one of the most important characters in this whole movie.
Absolutely.
So Ruby is the only one of the desert cannibal marauders that they all look like indigenous Native Americans. You know, as compared to the second one, they look very indigenous, like tribal looking. You know what I mean? I think that was Wes Craven's way of sort of integrating the cannibal films or whatever. Although I think the cannibal films came out later. Cannibal Holocaust came out in 1980. I'd have to look and see when Firo came out, but I think that they were probably inspired by this more so the other way around. Anyway, Ruby is at Fred's in the very beginning. She's trying to barter with him to get some food, and he's like, "I ain't got nothing for you, Ruby. Get out of here." And you can tell she's made up to look like she's like a desert rat, but she's like a hot chick that's got like dentures or something in, you know what I mean? She's got like the fake grill to make her look like
she's got like cavities or something, yeah.
But she's like a super hot chick. In real life, this woman was really hot. In fact, she auditioned and they wanted her to play the role of Lynn, the mother that gets her head blown off. And she's like, "Nah, I want to be Ruby." And Wes Craven's like, "No, you're too attractive. Nobody's going to buy that. Nobody's going to think you've been living in the desert all your life." And so he made her like roll around in the mud and shit. And the way, and her wardrobe, other than the very beginning where she's wearing like a she's looking like an extra on the set of Dukes of Hazzard. She's wearing like, she looks like she's out of a sword and sorcery movie, like fucking Conan or something.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Or Beastmaster or some shit.
Yep.
And she's the only one that's not named after a planet. Everybody else is. So you got Jupiter, you got Mercury, you got Mars, you got Pluto. And she's like kind of like, I gotta get away from these people, like almost from the get-go. Like she doesn't want to have anything to do with them, you know. And then she ends up like saving the day at the end, which we'll get to. I'm trying to think like where I'm at as far as talking about it. Somebody else pick up.
You know what I love? I love when that guy Mercury's like sitting there on the edge of the cliff talking through that CB radio, and that dog fucking knocks him off of the cliff.
Oh, that's a great part.
Oh yeah, it was so crazy, man. Like those dogs play such like a crazy active role in that movie.
The music in this I thought was really pretty oh God. The music in this I thought was pretty suspenseful. I don't know, would you?
Yeah.
I've been picking up on that more and more.
You know, actually, I wanted to mention something about that as well. Is that after I watched the movie, I thought to myself, was there even really any music in the movie? It never really dawned on me. Mm-hmm. So when I finished the movie, I kind of went back and kind of clicked through a few of the scenes, and I was like, I didn't even realize how good the soundtrack was, because it fit so perfectly into the movie that I didn't even have anything to comment on it. And I said, wow, that's high praise for how the music really made the scenes that I didn't even really register it while I was watching it.
I want to talk real quick about my favorite two parts in the movie. One of them I sort of already talked about, but I want to get into it. Is when Jupiter. All right, so they've used Bob as a decoy. They've lit him on. They've crucified him. They've lit him on fire. Everybody came running out to put him out, and while they were out, they ransacked the camper. They took the baby. They kidnapped the baby and everything. And so the son Bobby and the son-in-law Doug and the remaining people, Brenda and their mother, who's got a bullet in the stomach and she's about to die. They're kind of like holed up, just trying to, protect what's left of their camper. Which I think at that point this becomes a home invasion movie. At that point, you know what I mean? But you don't really know whose home you're in, because they went into the desert where these people kind of had like free reign for the longest time. But then those people went into their camper, so it's kind of like a conundrum on both sides there. I don't know if conundrum was the right word. But Jupiter is now talking to the dead body of Bob. Yeah. And the monologue that he has is great, where he's like,
"You think you can stick your life in my face? You can stick your fingers in my pie."
I just wanted to die laughing the whole time. And that's when, and then of course right after that he tells Mars to keep an eye on that tenderloin baby. Which is...
That tenderloin baby. Keep an eye on that tenderloin baby. We gonna kill them tonight. Come on, slide outside.
The other part I really like is the part with Pluto on the radio.
I was gonna mention that was gonna be mine.
All right,
yeah.
So you go. You explained it then.
Well,
but I love this part, and that part is fucking terrifying.
It's so good because when they finally get somebody on the CB radio, which is actually believable because they are in an abandoned. It was Air Force. It was an Air Force nuclear testing site, which in the beginning of the movie they focused in and showed that planes were flying around the area. So the whole thing about the CB radio is that they kept trying it, but it wasn't some stupid futile thing that they usually are in movies. Like, how the idiots on mountaintops try to pull their cell phones out. Of course it's not going to have any reception. This actually had a possibility. So finally they get this well-spoken individual, but there's just something slightly off about him, saying that he's part of the Air Force. And then he starts asking... They immediately start pouring in like how much ammo they have and how bad it is, and then what do they ask Bloodbath what their defensive position is or something? What does he ask?
Something like that. He does ask about the ammo, and before Pluto even finishes the sentence, Bobby's like, we're sitting ducks. We got like 2 bullets left.
Yeah, and he completely gives away all their information, and Pluto starts asking questions, starts dying laughing, and they both start hooting and hollering, and just that. I mean, nowadays it's the kind of cliche scene where you're talking to the actual killer, but it was done so well, and then they kind of cut it and go to Pluto, and who was with him? Was it Mercury
Jupiter
at that point, or was it
Mercury?
It was Jupiter.
Mercury's dead at that point.
Mercury's dead at that point. Yeah, so it's Jupiter, and they're both giggling about it, and Pluto almost has this innocent, like, "Oh, what are your defensive positions?" And it sent chills to my spine, because I'm like, this is them. This is their real people. This is who they really are, and it was frightening.
The part where he used to say, "We want you to stand on your head."
Oh yes, but stand on your head
and stick your thumbs out. Something like that.
Thumbs up your butt. Thumbs up your butt.
And then I'm trying to think. There's another. Bruce, Bob, what was your favorite part?
I don't really know, man. I like. There's a lot of good parts in this movie, but I think the part where that dude Fred gets ripped through the window, that was my favorite part. Because it's just, you don't see it coming. I mean, he's like midway through sentence, and it's just ripped through the window.
I also like the part where Pluto's Achilles' heel just gets ripped to pieces. I thought that was
And he's
awesome.
playing with. He's like playing with it. You know, you see the bone.
God, I just got chills just thinking about it. It's wild.
That part's so suspenseful too.
It's a good part.
Because the knife.
Go ahead.
The knife is like just in his grasp. Like, you know, he's right there, and that dog's just getting him.
Yeah. And then there's like so much like 1970s/80s blood. Which, I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys, but like the blood that they used for some of these films was like clearly fake. It was like way too red, if that makes any sense.
And I always think it looks thin.
Yes.
It looks really thin.
But I still love it. I don't know why. I don't have a good reason, but I still think it looks awesome. When I see it, it actually gets me excited. Like if I see it in it's all over these cannibal movies. It's all over them, and like Blood Feast and all that other stuff. So I always thought that was such a cool part. You know, it's another funny part too. So now Doug has gone into the mountains with the dog Beast to look for his baby that has been kidnapped. And Bobby and Brenda are holding down the fort while he's gone. And they're booby trapping the whole, the area around them. They did a pretty good job. That was pretty impressive with the trap that they set with the car, even though that would never work if the axle was broken, but whatever. It was like a pretty good trap. And they set their mom out in like a lawn chair.
Yeah.
As a decoy. The look on Jupiter's face when he approaches the mom, because he's like not sure if she's still alive, and he just has this really funny look on his face that every time I watch this I just burst out laughing. And it's not a funny part really to watch, but like it's just a look of like confusion and like should I be reaching for my gun? I
thought it was when I watched it, what I first thought of, I said it looks like a curious cat that's checking out something new in the house, like
yes.
like curious but tough and a little reserved, and the closer it's getting, it's kind of like ducking its head a little lower, like, is this something that I should be worried about? And it was almost like goofily innocent. Yeah, I agree. It was hysterical.
It's the same look if you've ever seen Role Models when they're all dressed up in the Kiss makeup, and the little black kid like dies, and he doesn't know he's supposed to die yet, and so he's like, oh, now you have to die a noble death. And then he's like, oh, okay. And then and McLovin is like watching him die, and he's like, and he like crooks his head to the side in like real confusion and just alarmed by it. It's like the same look on his face, and it's my favorite part of Role Models. It's one of my favorite parts in this movie. But they have this genius plan, and basically what they're gonna do is they've set an alarm so that way if anybody walks with like close to them, they'll hear a noise, and then the goal is to try to get him, basically his foot tied into a noose, and then the car would start, and the rope is attached to the wheel, and they would run, they'd hit the gas pedal, and it would yank the guy in and probably destroy him, but it doesn't end up working. So they have a backup plan, and their backup plan is great. And it is to take the propane tanks off the camper and run them inside the camper and get the guy to come inside, and then in the door is a book of matches, and it would strike and ignite the propane and blow him up. Great plan. And
it was fantastic.
Almost worked. Almost worked. And Jupiter ends up surviving the explosion, and then Brenda beats the shit out of him with a hatchet, and Bobby shoots him in the face. Right? Was it the face? He shoots him. He gets shot. He gets both.
He hits him
bullets, and
twice.
It's not good. So Jupiter dies. And then that's when Doug and Ruby sort of meet up, because Ruby takes the baby away from Mars and gives the baby to Doug. And she runs into the hills with him. And Mars chases him. And then they end up getting into like a little tussle. Like Mars is trying to kill him with the biggest knife I've ever fucking seen in my life.
Yes.
And Ruby she's the hero. He would have definitely won. And then Ruby takes a rattlesnake and gets the rattlesnake to bite him. And then which causes him to fall off Doug. Doug grabs a knife and stabs him like a bazillion times.
And then
it cuts to red. I love the abrupt ending. I love it. I thought it was great. No last minute jump scares. No predictable, just you don't even know. There was and they shot more. They shot more of an ending, but I guess Wes decided when they were in the cutting room that like, no, we're gonna cut to red here. I love it. But one of the things I noticed, I don't know if you guys noticed this. So Doug is the camera angle, which I thought was really cool. The camera angle takes the perspective of Mars. And Doug is just stabbing, going non-stop. There's no blood on the fucking knife. Every time he raises the knife in the air, you can see it. It's in the view of the camera. And there's no blood on it. Ever.
I never noticed that. I didn't notice that at all.
It's not in the goofs. I watched that scene 3 times in a row. I went back and watched it each time just to make sure I wasn't, because I looked it up on IMDb to see if it was there, and I didn't see it there. And I was like, okay, well, maybe it's one of those instances where I'm seeing what I want to see. But no, there's no blood on the knife the whole time. Kind of an important detail. Not that it detracts.
That's a big omission.
Yeah. But let me see. What are some of the things that? So, what we ended up watching was the R-rated one. The X rating had Fred's death scene was a lot more brutal. The kidnapping scene was cut down. I think we determined that was about 5 minutes long, and it apparently was a lot longer. The part of the scene where Jupiter is talking to Bob, apparently the part that was cut out was that he was eating Bob's arm, and he then took Bob's finger and jammed it into Bob's eye. And they had to cut that out.
Oh, nice.
I think that they should have had them, but it would have been. You clearly needed to know that he was eating Bob's arm, and you don't know that.
Yeah.
You don't know that from watching it, so that sort of sucks. What else was there? Jupiter's death was apparently really, really brutal, and So for submission, they had to cut down the last stabbing scene with Doug and Mars, but they cut it down and submitted it, and then when they got the R rating, that was the last step they needed to get the R rating, they put the scene back in the movie. So it's still as long as it was. The sequel to this came out in 1985, and it currently holds a 0 critical rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a 19% audience score. So Wes Craven disowned the film. It was that bad.
Wow. Well, I saw that Perryman was back in it again, and I forgot who else, which other character. I was like, oh, so they didn't die? Was there like a parallel wormhole universe?
So I saw this movie. I saw the second one, and I do want to watch it for this show. Not to pick on it. I mean, I think it's some, you gotta watch the bad movies too. So, but I watched this when I was like a senior in high school. I rented them both. I watched them back to back. And it was like it's a fucking bad movie, man. There's no way to... There's not a whole...
I saw the cover. Is Jupiter in this one? Is he in the second one?
Yeah.
Because he looks like he's like burnt red.
Yeah. Yeah, it's... It just doesn't even make sense. It's like... It's almost like an alternate... It feels like a giant alternate ending, if that makes any sense. The condition that Michael Berryman had is called... I wrote this down in my notes. I just didn't see it. Hypohidrotic ectodermal dysplasia. There's a lack of sweat glands. Wes Craven was actually going to have the baby killed in the movie. Like, not really, but like as part of the movie, he was going to have the baby killed. And everybody in the cast and crew said, if you do that, then we're all going to walk off the project. We're not killing babies. That would destroy our careers. We're not doing that. And then there's a funny Michael Berryman story that I found online. It said when he was watching the film in a theater after it was, obviously after it was all done, and the woman in front of him said aloud, "This movie is sick and depraved." And then, so he thought it would be funny if he leaned over her. And so he did, and he's like, "You're damn right, lady, this movie is sick." So I thought that was pretty cool. Do you guys want to touch a little lightly on the new one? Because I watched the new one last night too, so that way we could talk about it a little bit. We don't have to talk long about it. I'm not trying to dissect that one, but I just wanted to point out that the entire third act of the remake is like a totally different movie. I don't know if you guys remember it.
Is that where they're inside the cave?
Yeah, he goes into landmine. The whole movie is explained differently. First off, the gas attendant leads them into the trap. He's part of the trap. And in the original, he's not. What else do I have here? I wrote it down. So many notes. In the old one, the mutants, or the original, the mutants don't cause the family to crash. In the new one that they do, it takes place in Nevada, not New Mexico. Doug is a ginormous pussy in the second one. In the first one, Doug is like a tough character. He doesn't look tough, but he's like a tough guy. And then like in the remake, he's like a pacifist. And I didn't like that anymore. I didn't like the remake very much. Like the CGI wasn't very good, and it wasn't. I mean, there was a couple of the parts were a little bit more brutal, but the whole third act, when he's in like that Fallout town, and there's that guy with the ginormous head that basically explains the entire movie and the backstory and everything. I just thought it was such a weak movie. For if I got to rate the new one, I would probably give it a 1 out of 5. But what's your guys' take on the remake?
I don't know, man. I kind of wish that the original had them venturing into the caves more. Like, you want to see what those people are doing in there, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, no. I was talking with Kristen about this last night. No logical person would venture into those caves, because if it were me, and I got a dog and I got a baseball bat, and these people have been picking off my family members one by one this entire time, there's no way I'm going to go into their home field and into a mine shaft and not and any control, any semblance of control that I did have, it goes right out the window at that point. It's just not a rational. There's no rational end there. I'm totally fine with if somebody wants to do a remake, and they do a shot-for-shot remake of the entire thing, and the effects are just a little bit better, and the acting is just a little bit better. Because the acting in the the original is horrible. They're all horrible actors, or they're brand new actors. But it's something I can look past it because I like the story, and I like some of the, the gore and the violence and stuff. All that stuff is cool. But if you're gonna come in there and just change the entire thing just to cater to special effects and stuff, I mean, I don't know. I really didn't like it.
Yeah, it's like just name it something else.
Yeah, just name it something else. Call it The Hills Have Eyes 3. That's fine. I'll go see that. But I didn't give it a 1 just because it was a remake. There are plenty of remakes out there that I think are very good. So I love the Maniac. I don't know if you and I have talked about this yet, but the remake they did for Maniac I thought was incredible. And I don't hate the Halloween remake. I thought it was okay.
No, it was alright.
It's not as bad as everybody wants to make it out to be. The second Halloween movie wasn't so great, but the first one was fine. He did okay. It was like a prequel and a remake, which was kind of cool.
That's a tough movie to make. It's
difficult, and he deserves credit because there's some legitimately scary parts, and he paid homage to some of the older ones by like casting Danielle Harris in there, and the cast in that movie was very, very good. So, but let's not go too much. Is Brett here? Did he go take a shit? I think he went to go take a shit.
Yeah, no, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. No, I just see your picture. I don't see any. Oh, there you are. So
don't edit that out.
Actually, I did step out for a second, but I'm back. Don't worry.
I asked the question. Bruce, did you complete your answer? Because I may have cut you off, man. I'm really bad at it. I'm sorry. But so
no, that's okay.
I basically said, what was your take on the remake? Did you get to finish your complete thought, dude, before I move over to Brett?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh no, yeah, I definitely.
Brett, what was your take on the remake?
I didn't get the chance to rewatch it this week. I watched it back in college, so I remember being creeped out by it. I remember that the special effects were pretty gruesome and it was pretty brutal. I don't really necessarily remember much from it, but I remember walking away saying I enjoyed that, but I wasn't floored by it. But I would like to watch it again, but especially now having seen the original, I'd like to watch it again. But that whole situation I mentioned earlier with the kids that bring the girls to the movie theaters because they want to. Yeah, I kind of did that with the original ones, or with the new ones. So yeah, go through that. So maybe I enjoyed the movie.
I don't know if you heard me say it, but I said, I haven't given a rating yet for the original, but I said that I watched the remake last night, so it would be just fresh in my head because I didn't remember too much of it, and I would give it a 1 out of 5. If you're rating it today, I'd give it a 1 out of 5 because it starts out pretty good. I'm looking at my notes for it now. It opens up, and I'm just gonna go through a quick synopsis with it because this is where it starts out really good. All right, there's 3 quick kills. They got more money to spend, so the makeup is a little bit better. They had that part where there's all those abandoned cars, which is clearly another homage to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre because basically this whole.
Yeah, I do. I remember that. I remember that.
But then the CGI stuff was just an utter failure. There's CGI fire, which you're gonna lose it at least a half a point from me if you have CGI fire in there. And
never
looks good. And then almost every kill seems to be CGI. I did think that the part where Mars eats the bird in the remake was better than the part where he eats it in the original because you could tell it was fake in the original, but in the remake it actually looked like he twisted the bird's head off.
Oh yeah, in the original he was basically just squeezing a blood packet.
Yeah, he's squeezing a ketchup packet of bird guts. And then But from there on out, the movie takes a shit. The third act is terrible. It just goes in this direction, and like it just doesn't make sense to me.
You are listening to Blood, Guts, and Blu-ray. We are dedicated to bringing you the show across your favorite medium. We can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and YouTube. Please send all suggestions to bloodgutsandbluray@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.
Are you guys ready for ratings?
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
Bub, what would you rate 1977's The Hills Have Eyes?
I give the 77 version a 4, just for like the whole storyline.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's got a good plot to it. You know, it creeped me out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I would give the remake a 3 because it was pretty brutal. You know, I liked how brutal it was for a movie at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the whole thing that this movie is actually based on a true story.
Sawney Bean.
You know, did you guys know that?
Sawney Bean or something, right?
Yeah. It's like over in Scotland, like back in like the 1600s or something. There was a family that actually lived in the caves, and they would eat travelers that came through.
I read up on that. I didn't know that until I did research for this. I had
no clue.
Yeah. That's just crazy. You know what I mean? It's like almost like it's like hearing that was like the first time I ever heard about the Donner Party. That just weirds me out. So.
A big incest family.
Brett.
If I got to see the X-rated version, I would probably give it a 4 as well. But for right now, I stand at 3.5. I highly enjoyed the movie. A couple of the problems I had with it were, as we touched on before, the lack of gore. I know they had to cut down on it, but I feel like this movie would have really hit a higher pinnacle if I got to see more of that 70s blood. And one of the problems I had with the movie was I really, like we said, I either didn't like any of the Carter family or associated family, or I fucking hated them. And it just, their deaths didn't really feel satisfying. And I can't really explain why, but even like the dad being crucified and lit on fire, I wasn't like satisfied, like, yeah, you get it. You know, it didn't have that factor. But it was a fantastic movie. It's obviously it seems to have a cult classic status. It deserves it. If I could see the X-rated, I'd probably bump it up to 4, maybe even a 4.5.
I'm gonna go with 4. I'm at a 4. I love the bad guys in this movie. I thought they were all great, especially Jupiter. I think the fact that they don't really reveal him too much, like you know that he's there because he kills his own dad in the first at the beginning of the second act, but you don't really see him until about halfway through the movie, and it makes him a little bit scarier because you don't know what to expect. I hated everybody in this family. I thought Doug was okay, but I thought everybody in the family was just very hateable characters. And I like the mutants and I like the dogs, and I thought it was a great story. It's probably not as scary now in 2016. That's why I'm really surprised again that it got the X rating. It's amazing what you can get. I mean, what they're describing would have never gotten an X rating now, or an NC-17 or whatever it is. It would have easily gotten an R rating. I mean, for fuck's sake, we've all seen Hostel. That movie's brutal.
Oh, yeah. God, yeah.
And that one's cut down. What he submitted was way crazier. So, I still think in 1977 you never, other than the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you've never seen anything like this. And this tried to take the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like it tried to take that extra step. So, it gets an A for effort, and it gets a B plus as far as a movie. I think 4 is probably a B plus. So I think it's a B plus. I really, really enjoyed it. It's definitely. I mean, I quote it, so I like it, and it's a movie that I like to own, even though I have it on my computer and I have Shudder, so it's on there. But it's a movie that I would like to own because I like to have the box. You know what I mean? I like it. So and I also love the box art too, with just Michael Berryman on the cover, and you don't really know, like, if you've never seen it before, you're like, what the fuck is this? So
it's got that Mad Max look to it,
and I think that looks really cool. So that's good. Well, that's gonna do it for Blood, Guts, and Blu-ray number 9. Did I leave anything out? Are we good? I think we covered everything. It's very rare because usually once we get done with ratings, that's when we're like, oh yeah, and by the way, and oh yeah, by the way. You've been listening to another mind-melting episode.
Craven with me.
Best Craven.
So that's gonna do it for this episode, number 9. Number 10 is next week. It is the last episode that we're doing our tribute to the late and great Wes Craven, and we're gonna talk about The People Under the Stairs. I think it's a movie everybody likes. It's a great movie. First time I watched that was on Monster Vision, and it was awesome. So, listen, if you're checking out our show on iTunes and you like it, if you would be so kind as to rate, review, and subscribe, we would really appreciate it. We've been getting a ton of feedback over the course of the last week with the big announcement that we're part of Core Temp Arts, so which is awesome. But keep the feedback coming, because it's what we appreciate. It's what we use to try to improve the show and give you the best possible listening experience. We appreciate all the support that we've gotten from everybody. Everybody's been fantastic. So check us out on iTunes. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe. You can also subscribe on YouTube and on Stitcher as well. And head over to coretemparts.com and check out some of the other shows over there, because there's some really great ones. So that'll do it. Toodaloo.
Good evening.
Sayonara.
Thank you for listening to Blood, Guts, and Blu-ray. Written and hosted by Bloodbath, Bub, and Brett667. Edited and produced by Bloodbath. Music has been graciously provided by the Slasher Film Festival Strategy and Nightbirds. Artwork and logo have been provided by Bub. Blood, Guts, and Blu-ray is available on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and YouTube. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, as well as @BloodGutsBluray on Twitter, @BloodGutsandBluray on Instagram, and visit our Tumblr page by going to bloodgutsandbluray.tumblr.com. For any questions regarding the show, advertising, or anything else, please send an email to bloodgutsandbluray@gmail.com. Thanks again. Get possessed.